1 minute.
It's me. I'm going to turn mine down to you.
Good evening and welcome to the third November 2, 2023 meeting of the Planning Board and the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry. We have a interesting schedule tonight, and I would first move that we open the board meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is on the AHRB public meeting agenda, 111 Bel Air Drive, AHRB review for amendment of approved plans to add an exterior window and door. This should
I
take
could have set this up beforehand here.
It shouldn't be that complicated.
Is this going to link properly? Does that have to link somehow? I have the presentation open, but it's not.
I've been away for 2 months and you guys haven't fixed this yet. I was counting on coming back here and,
So I'm Niall Kane. I'm the architect for Gabe and Alice Tabiri, who just walked in. You remember this project. We just have a small modification, which I'll explain to you, just adding a window and a door, which is related to a new space that we kind of discovered. Oh, it's not scrolling. Sorry, can you help me again? It's not going down. Hmm?
nice and bright over there.
Or wash that.
Anyway, so you remember this project. It's 111 Bel Air, and we're transformed. The project is underway. We have the concrete footings in, and the framing is just starting. So this is the house as it will be transformed. The back of the house, and this is the back of the house as proposed. We are now, this is the south elevation, if you recall. We are proposing, there's a space below this room here, sort of a, we want to use as a storage space, so we're proposing a door there. And I have, this is the picture as it would appear with the planting for the neighbor, sake of the neighbors. So it's, as far as this elevation, it's just this door right there. I'll show you a clearer.
now in the previous elevation, did it just appear like that's the stone that I'm seeing? Just that room was always there, this structure, the overall structure.
Everything was there. It was just
The stone went straight
yeah,
down.
it's,
and,
you know,
okay.
because of that very steep drop off,
Yeah.
we actually have a space under the
Yeah,
basement
okay.
that is right on the rear yard level. So we're making use of that space. I mean, frankly, it was a bit of a, should have always put a door there, frankly. Sort of an obvious space that could be used for storage.
Okay.
Otherwise, again, it's just this door right here. Everything else is exactly as approved, no changes whatsoever. And then on this elevation, we drew this sort of with the, sort of as if the tree is kind of invisible, but this is a window here. We discovered again, there's a space under the garage that we want to make use of, and I'll show you a plan that in a moment. And again, this window is identical to these. It's the metal, aluminum clad, very thin mullions in a very slight, just off black color, which was approved before from the renderings. So this shows a site plan, just a little addition here of this, just in order to access this door, a little retaining wall. We're making use of the unilock blocks that we removed. You'll recall that we removed them around the tree, so we have a stack of blocks we're going to make use of. This little retaining wall is going to be no more than 2 feet 10 inches high at the most, and then we have a little bit of paving, just a little bit of loose paving in front of that new door accessing that storage space. This is the garage here, and below the garage, again, we discovered an entire space, because the garage is actually a concrete slab with steel beams, so it's supported over the earth below. Again, it's related to the very steep topography of the site. So we want to create a little alcove off of the family room here, and a little storage room. And the little alcove will have a window, and that's sort of why we're here tonight, for the window that you saw in that west elevation.
And do you have a plan of what the lowest space?
The
Not the-
lowest space is whoops. It's exactly under this pool room. It's just this rectangular space. I didn't actually draw a plan of the storage space. It's just
It's the same footprint as
Same
the
exact
alcove and storage.
yeah, it's the same exact footprint, just with so it's just a box. But,
Niall, the way this reads on my agenda is that this is a review for amendment of approved plans to add an exterior window and door.
correct.
So we don't need to reapprove the whole thing.
Oh, no, I was just pointing out I just want like to be complete. I was just pointing out the reason for the window is this creation of this room. And that the reason for that door is the existing space under the
Okay.
garage. I'm maybe over explaining, and this is just the existing plan.
Do you have to excavate any of the?
No.
Under the garage?
A little reworking of the soil under there, sort of goes like this, so we're reworking it. I'll show you a section in a second.
And is it just gonna be a dirt floor or?
This is the section through the garage above, and this is the new storage space. So we're putting a slab here. This is the line of the existing earth underneath that space. So we're just taking a little bit of earth from here, bringing this up, creating a floor for the storage space, and then doing this with wood framing above the grade for the little alcove. And again, this is the proposed window, which is the change for the ARB review, and this is the metal door, which will be the same gray color as approved for all the window and trim treatment. And this is the little retaining wall, and again, we're making use of the unilock blocks that we relocated, and it has all been relocated at this point, actually, and it is quite nice having it back from that. You recall that whole discussion about relocating that wall, so we can have some nice planting for the neighbor. So that's really it. I mean, I put in the context pictures again, but I don't know. So it's right, the space below here is the garage. Here is that cavity that we're making use of for the.
Are you adding any impermeable surface outside of the door?
A little bit, and it works with, I've actually adjusted on the site plan the number for the site coverage. It's a slight increase.
Is this still conforming?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's less than 100 square feet. It's just very small.
So the floor of the garage is strong enough to carry all the cars,
Yeah,
whatever?
I mean, it was always, it's a structure with steel beams, and it was always suspended way above. It was really a surprise. We joked that, maybe there's some dead bodies in there when we discovered this space, but skeletons as far as we can tell.
And you get in there's a door from the house, or?
There's no way to get in, so it was kind of a surprise. It was just the contractor was saying, you realize there's a cavity under here, and then.
But now you're just putting an opening or a door, or?
Well, yeah, inside, yeah, door
Oh,
to
okay.
the plan showed the door So the storage room and a door to the alcove from the interior. So it's an expansion of that family room space. Just be a little study space
So that could be the lagering cellar.
for Gabe or Alice. They're going to duke it out and see whose study space it is.
Okay,
So that's really it.
thanks.
Counsel? This isn't a public hearing. Can we just approve
Yes.
what we've heard?
Yes, you would do it by motion and vote, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. Anybody else have any comments? All right, I move we approve the revised plan as presented. A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
You need a resolution, right?
Do we need to read the resolution?
No,
We have a resolution.
No,
she has a resolution.
no, we don't have a resolution. That's just a vote, that's why it was,
Great.
yeah.
That's right, AHRB. Thanks.
Good luck.
Yes.
Next item on our agenda,
Well, let's just leave it.
2 Moulton Avenue, continuation of public hearing for proposed regrading of rear yard. 2 Moulton Avenue,
6, isn't it?
6 Moulton.
6 Moulton
Yeah.
Avenue, well, whatever. it is.
Close?
Online.
Online?
Yep.
Okay.
Imagine somebody standing at that mic.
Good evening, everyone.
He's talking.
Michael Mastrojacmo, I'm the engineer for the project.
Good.
So sorry I couldn't be there in person. There are too many meetings back to back. So what we're doing is, let me share my screen here. Okay. So what we're doing is raising the rear yard in order to protect the home from flooding. We had massive flooding during Hurricane Ida. So this is the reason why we are here in front of you. We received original comments from Mr. Olivieri. We've answered those, and yesterday we just received a new set of about 6 comments. It looks like most of them are some detailing that needs to be implemented here, just to show how the drainage system will work by collecting the water that once it hits this wall, that it won't disrupt anybody.
Okay.
I'm looking at Anthony.
Anthony, didn't you have some concerns about this?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we had a few more comments. I mean, the main thing, we asked for kind of an overall map to show the drainage patterns, and, it kind of seems, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So it seems that, like, kind of suggests that the drainage would, kind of get concentrated on the adjoining properties, at least the property to the east, I would say. So, I'm really not convinced that it's not going to be a detriment to the adjoining property. I'm not sure about the 2 proposed dry wells being capable of picking up the water that would be hitting that wall. I'm not sure how that was sized. Maybe I missed that, but the sizing seemed to be for the impervious area of the lot and not necessarily for any contributing drainage area. I'm not sure how to.
Well, that was, Anthony, that's this contribution area that I call it. This about 4,000 square feet. In my calculation, right on this part, it calls out the contribution area, picks up that 4,000 square feet in the calculation.
Okay, but the drainage map there kind of shows flow coming from, away from that area as well. And that's what I'm kind of worried about.
Well, this flow actually, it does cut across here currently as well as come down, because this property is elevated up. There is a retaining wall up here currently. That's what's forcing it to impact these 2 properties, especially my clients. So this is the reason why we're trying to do this, is try to protect our property. And the Coltex are to pick up this overflow of volume that's picking up here.
But as that flow passes through from off-site, it's gonna hit that under drain, right? And inundate
Right.
your Cultex, I would think.
Correct. And
So
then
that-
we'd have to put an overflow somewhere, you know, to discharge.
Yeah, I think it needs a little more, a little more work, a little more of a look. We also asked, there's a drain on that adjoining property to look into that. I don't know if it's intended that would then be sufficient to deal with whatever might get concentrated on that property.
Well, this drain here, it's a small, like 4 or 6 inch pipe that goes out into the woods on the other side. So for us to tie in, that's a private property. We'd have to get an easement from them to tie in. And that small pipe, I don't think will take any overflow volume, or at least enough to try to help anything.
Okay, well, if you want to have a meeting and get it, we can get into the details, because I'm not seeing how it's not going to concentrate more floodwater on the adjoining property.
Okay.
I'm not seeing that.
Okay, yeah, we can have an independent meeting. That's not a problem.
It's a continuation of a public hearing. Move to open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Either one.
And introduce yourself.
Feels so official. Terrified of the camera there. Hi, we're the homeowners for 58 Northfield, the property with
To the west.
to the west, yep, with the kind of blue overflow. And we do suffer from pretty much any heavy rain that happens on the road, forms a stream that cuts through our entire property.
You have to state your name, too.
Oh, hi, I'm Nicholas Turdo.
Okay.
Cool, thanks. Hi. First town council, my apologies. So we got a letter just a couple of days ago saying that there was a proposal for having work done and that we should attend one of these meetings if we had questions. We have similar concerns to what you were expressing. If a property that's down, kind of downhill from us is now going to increase their level of their land and put up a wall, then the overflow from the street that cuts through our property that does eventually kind of outlet into that yard is now just going to hit that wall and pool in our yard. So, we just want to understand what the impacts are, what the plan was, and how do we now have to plan for additional work ourselves to now find a different outlet for all that water that was cutting through our property.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Is this, the property under question, lower than yours now?
Yeah, it is.
And how much lower would you say it is?
Probably a solid 18 inches to 2 feet, maybe a little bit more even.
Okay, and did I see correctly that the proposal is to raise it by 3 feet?
Yes, yes, we're raising it 3 feet.
So you're gonna raise it above their property?
Well, we're about 6 feet lower. Here's 154, here's 148. So there's about 6 foot difference in elevation.
Okay, so you got topo lines on there.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so you're still gonna be 5
We're
feet
still gonna be
below their
lower than-
property?
correct.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's not like everything is gonna back up and be on their property. It's still gonna overflow and come across.
I think it would be
It's just
good,
gonna be a different way.
yeah, because I'm having a little trouble actually, getting a mental map in my head of exactly what's happening. And I think what would help would be if you could provide a section or a couple of cross-sections, not just of the wall details. I saw you have some typical details, but I'm looking through the set and I don't see any site cross-sections that actually explain the relationship of your property to the neighbor's property. And I think it would be instructive and helpful
Sure.
if you had a couple of had maybe one section north-south through your property, but then another kind of east-west cross-section.
Okay.
That went through your neighbors, so that we could understand, see these relationships that we're talking about what's higher than what and where the water is likely to go. So if you
Sure.
could do those two cross-sections, for some distance, or at least as far as cutting through the adjacent properties, I think that would go a long way to helping us understand.
Sure.
Do you mind if I ask one follow-up question while the
Sure.
map is up?
Oh, sure, please.
So, for the plot of land that's 25 by 100, 3/181/4, that doesn't have an actual address, that's another parcel of land that's adjacent to ours, a second plot of land that we got when we bought the house. On the north side of that and on the east side of that plot of land, there's stone walls that are roughly 3-4 feet.
I think, yeah.
Roughly, yeah. So I'm not quite sure how right now the second post-construction drain flow shows it going through a stone wall. I don't really know how that flow will go through a stone wall.
Yeah, because that's, it doesn't.
Have you been out to take a look at this?
No.
We should probably, I mean, we don't have to do it as a team, but
I
we
have a
should.
question too, I think it's admirable that, commendable that this owner is trying to take care of this water problem, definitely. But, more and more, it's much larger than a homeowner's property, so, how can you enlist the other neighbors to solve it together, you know what I mean? Maybe this is too big a question to talk about here, but,
I think you just have to not make the condition worse, right? You have to not.
Yeah, that would be my biggest concern,
You
would
have
be,
to get
we,
it-
we want to make sure that whatever gets done here helps the problem and doesn't make it
Doesn't have
worse
to
for any
solve
neighbors.
the problem.
but this is like the Clinton River that we've heard about a lot, The water's
should go-
coming down from above, and then you're responsible for taking care of
I feel like we should go
water
take a
from other
look.
places.
It looks, without being able to tell from the topo lines, it looks like there's sort of a depression between the houses on Moulton and the houses on whatever this next
Gould.
street is, in Gould. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of where the Dobbs Ferry is right there, is that where the water's sort of, most of the water's flowing down through there right
Yeah.
now?
So, I'm Judith Turdo, it's my brother-in-law. So Northfield, like our house looks like a ranch house, but once you turn onto Moulton, you realize it's a kind of a little hill. And so what happens is, I forgot the name of the street that's further up, but there's a big hill that's pretty high up, and all of the rain comes down, and that path is right. It does come through there, but it actually usually, honestly, comes from our side lot. So 0 Northfield is typically where that water comes on really bad rain. It comes right onto our yard and looks almost like a river. And if I had my druthers, we would actually put a drain on 0 Northfield to irrigate that water out of the way altogether. Because that is a true path of where water goes. And you are right, Stephen, like this work definitely needs to be done. Like anytime it rains, they have a pool in their backyard. Like it's a fact, it is going to happen. And we just had work done in our property to help irrigate water from inside our home. So this is definitely an ongoing problem for everybody in our kind of direct neighborhood. Because we're really the only street where where it goes down. Every other side street is street level to Northfield.
Good, thank you.
We should go take a look, because I don't think we have to go as a group, but I feel like I
We
need to
need
go there
a
and
site
see it.
visit.
Yeah, to kind of visualize how
Bring you guys a pot of coffee.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there.
to be there when it rains.
Yeah, come when it rains. Any Saturday night.
Anyone,
As you were saying, with a situation like this, you don't want to see it exacerbate the problem, make it worse. And this isn't a floodplain, but typically, if you're going to fill, you're taking away like volume from the flood storage. It's going to go somewhere else. So they're proposing 2 Coltech unit dry wells, but that's nothing compared to the volume that they're taking away. So that's my concern. I don't know if there's something to look at in the roadway. I'm not sure if there's any large drain structures in the road or any significant drainage piping in the road that could be utilized, but I think you really got to find some way to pick up that water flow and not just displace it to the other properties.
Well, I had two questions. One is, has the 2 Moulton Avenue owner been looped in on this? And second, has it been looked at creating some kind of a drainage structure that goes all the way from Northfield down? And I hate to say it, I mean, would you just dump it on the sawmill? I mean, is that, that's not exactly the greatest solution. It's already a lake when, it, you know, when it.
We were just talking about the other end of Gould Avenue earlier, where that street was, you know,
Yeah.
moved to the
Have to go take a
cul-de-sac.
look.
Does it come down that hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
They just redid their driveway. It's also ensuring the tax. So they just redid their driveway. That doesn't impact us, but I'm sure.
So just in case that's not already on your to-do list, Anthony, could you add that to the bottom?
Well, I don't know where that leaves us.
Well, I think we need more,
Well,
give Anthony time to do his work,
I
and
think,
maybe we
I
can go
think
take a
we
look.
should go, we don't have to go as a group, I think we should make sure between now and the next meeting, we all take a look,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
so we can visualize.
yeah, I think that would be
I don't
helpful.
really have an image of the kind of the grades.
Actually, on a rainy day, we'll go on a rainy day.
There's a lot of them recently.
Every weekend, right? Not last week.
Okay.
Okay.
So continue this.
And I guess
hearing.
Yeah.
you're gonna meet, Anthony, you're gonna meet with the applicant's engineer, or aren't you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go over it.
Okay,
Okay.
We'll
All
look
right.
at, we can look at the drainage maps. I just don't know that there's an outlet there. You know, the backyard is the low spot. And it looks like there's an embankment actually at the sawmill, so I'm not sure there's a way out the water.
I would walk all the way up Gould Avenue, because if I remember, there's this, you know, that's the whole hill, and then it just slopes down towards the.
sawmill.
And you're going to look, Anthony, to see if there's capacity in the existing storm drain system?
Well, I could look to see if there is a storm drain.
I don't think there is any storm drainage on that street.
That would be a hard no.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that would be the only, you know, if there was a significant pipe out there that you could get a drain to.
I mean, that would be the best way to deal with this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Otherwise, you know, we have to get pretty creative to not affect the other properties.
Well, the water's got to go downhill, and it's going to end up in the sawmill at some point,
Yeah.
right? So how can we get it there without, you know, flooding people's houses?
Well, that's for their engineer to figure out.
Okay.
To review.
Okay.
I make a motion, we continue the public hearing to the next.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Adjourn
All
till
right, well,
December
we'll
7th.
keep at it next month.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
comments.
and that meeting will be December 7th.
Yes.
Next item on our agenda, 26 Magnolia Drive, public hearing for proposed new balcony over existing porch and removal and replacement of solarium structure.
Good evening. I'm Gabriel Sieve, the architect for the project. I'm here representing the homeowners in case the board or the public has any questions. We presented the project last month we were here.
I don't see the back, is the backup for this one in the previous?
Yes. The previous month.
Yellow. Yeah.
I don't think I have any paper.
Close the public hearing, so.
Yeah, it is a.
Yeah, it's a public.
We'll need to.
Open the public hearing.
Yeah. At least we could do something. All right, I move we open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Anybody have any?
Is there anybody online? No? I didn't have any problems with it.
No, I'm fine with it too.
I don't remember any issues on this. I don't know why we didn't.
Waive it.
Is there a resolution or no?
Yeah.
Oh, there is a resolution?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We want to allow people to make comment if they wanted to, that's why we didn't.
Yeah,
Right.
no comments from online either? Nobody there, okay.
No,
All right, shall we close the public hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's over.
Thank you.
Well, we have to.
Well,
read
We have a
Yes.
resolution.
Resolution.
So Valerie's been reading the resolution for us. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's fine. Totally fine. Okay, so you guys have two resolutions. You have your AHRB resolution, and your planning board resolution. I'll read the planning board one. That one's more involved, than your AHRB. The AHRB is basically the same. So this is whereas Brian Ferguson, the applicant and owner, is seeking site plan approval to construct a second floor balcony over an existing coverage porch, replace windows, and replace the existing solarium structure. The property is located at 26 Magnolia Drive. The project is classified as a type 2 action. The planning board conducted a duly noticed public hearing on November 2nd and concluded it on November 2nd, as we just saw. You carefully examined and considered the materials submitted by the applicant, including the approval application, the architectural plan set dated September 8th, the issued for AHRB appendix dated September 8th as well, the coastal assessment form, and the short environmental form dated September 8th. The board is familiar with the site and has considered, among other things, traffic access, walkways, circulation and parking, stormwater landscaping, screening, lighting, etc. And now therefore be it resolved that the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for site plan approval is granted subject to the following conditions. The approved plans are going to be the full specs document, which consists of 40 pages. The architectural plan set, as mentioned before, dated September 8th. The issued for AHRB appendix, also dated September 8th. Let's see. No work will be commenced on any portion of the site without first contacting the building inspector to ensure that all permits and approvals have been obtained and to establish an inspection schedule. The project must adhere to all applicable state and village codes. And that's really it.
Good, good. I move the approval of the resolution.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, thank you.
Now we have another resolution too? Or this-
The
There's one.
There's the AHRB one.
There's the AHRB. All of it is the same as far as the plans and such.
Okay,
good.
So you guys can also,
Do we
Thank
need to
you.
formally vote on it, though?
You can do a vote.
yeah,
You do them both together, so
yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next on our agenda, pre-submission conference, continuation of pre-submission conference for proposed subdivision for 2 new single-family homes, 11 Lyman Place.
Online.
Online? Yeah, they should be here. This is a,
Christina.
Hmm?
Christina's.
Yeah.
Yes.
she's been here.
She is.
It is Christine.
I'm on that today.
Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Can everyone hear me? Good evening.
You can.
I'm Christina Griffin, the architect. I'm working with Signature. It's a modular company on these 2 homes. I'm here to present revised drawings. I'm going to share the screen. This is our second pre-submission meeting, and we had comments from the last meeting to give to, one of the comments was to see if we could give more variety to the 2 houses, so they were not too similar aesthetics. We had made them like variations on different themes and slightly different patterns and light fixtures, but we've done even more than that. And we've given one house a hipped roof and a different window configuration, which I'll show you on the next, on our color and material scheme. Sorry. But when it comes to the site plan, what we've done is we added these two trees in the front. They're native trees. One is a red oak for the house on the left, and one is a sugar maple tree for the house on the right. I also want to point out we found that our floor area calculations were showing the full footprint of the first floor, including the garage and the porch. And we revised these numbers because the first floor without the garage and the porch is a much lower number. And when we add the floors together, the total floor area of each house is 2,693. So we're going to submit revised drawings to show this. I wanted to point this out to you because I've read the letters that came in, and I think we had a much higher number here, but that included the garage, and it was misleading. I think you're all familiar with the site. I also went to the site to take a good look at the trees that are there. There is a comment about possibly of asking if we could save, I think, this large maple in the front. But I wasn't sure if it was that tree or maybe the other ones in the back. This tree is a Norway maple, and unfortunately, even though it's right near the property line, I'll show you on the site plan. It's where we're putting the driveway for this house, and we've made the driveways and the garages on the outer side of these two houses, so there's more green space in between. And unfortunately, we have to take down this tree. But we are going to put an oak tree on that site, which we know can grow up to 50, 60 feet tall. So, we're trying to make up for the fact that there is a significant tree here, and to make sure that each house has a significant tree in the front yard. Other changes we made, I changed the streetscape to show the new design for the house on the lot 2 on the streetscape. So we plugged that in. And as you can see, this is a 2-story house, and a lot of the houses on the street are 1.5 and 2 stories high, very similar in width to these houses. And we had reviewed the street. This is the street. These are the houses on the other side of the street, also 2 and 1.5 stories high. They vary in width, but most of the houses are not very wide. And I think these houses are similar in scale. Also, a change we made is we were requested to take the exterior lighting plan and make it a separate drawing, which we did. We didn't have time to submit it for your review, but I'm bringing it to the meeting tonight, and we will be submitting this. There's just a few grade level lights along the landscaping in the front, and then we have sconces on each side of the garage at the front door, and then 2 sconces at the porch in the back. Same design for each house, but different fixtures. I'm also showing you all the sky exposure plane diagrams, just so you can see with the new design for the house on the lot 2, how it fits in the sky exposure plane. It's no problem. We took that plane through the front and the back of the house, and then through the middle, as required by code. Our landscaping plan is the same except for the 2 new trees in the front. And this is our new color and material scheme. these houses have a combination of lap siding and board and batten, using two colors, warm gray and white, and flipping, and you know, each house is sort of a flip version of the colors and the patterns. But the house on the left now has a hip roof with a gable in front. We eliminated the deck, the second floor, so that only one house has that feature in the front. There's just a window here on the second floor. The garages are different designs. This garage has a standing seam metal roof on top of it to match the standing seam metal roof at the front door. This garage door does not have that. It has a little coverage though with that deck on top. And the doors are different. They're different design, different panel details. And we also have a different window treatment. This whole bay of the house here on the hipped roof design is different with a single window on top, metal roof overhang, and slightly different front door panel design. And the lot one house has a more glass on top, has a middle window with flanking side windows and slightly different door configuration. The light fixtures are different for each house, and these are the colors that we've chose. Everything is white and gray, different shades of gray. Stone is blue stone at the front and at the front platform and the path. We have different light fixtures for each house, with the same path light fixtures. And then I actually brought the elevations, the line drawings, just to show how, as you turn around the house, lot one, I presented these last time, and as you turn around the house, we flip from lap siding, and then at the rear, we have the vertical siding in one half of the house, and then at the sides of the house, we have the lap siding. Lot two, where we have a hipped roof, board and batten in front, lap siding that wraps around the side. The rear elevation has the same idea, two different siding, and each side elevation has lap siding. These are actually designed or drawn by a modular company with an overlay of the siding type, railing types that we've decided to use for the project. And I don't know if there's been changes to the civil engineering drawings. I know that they're very minor comments, and but I do have them here in case there are any questions. And that's the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Christina, can we see the elevations again of the other houses, streetscape elevations, please? How do these houses sit? I guess that's what I'm looking at.
This is Lyman Place, the two houses, your houses here in the middle. 3 Lyman is to the right.
And there is that much space between those two homes, the new homes?
Yes, this is actually been copied from the site plan to show it's exactly the same as the site plan. Mm-hmm. One house is has a 20-foot setback, one has 25-foot setback. The setbacks that are on the street vary. They seem to be, a lot of them are around 25 feet. But then when you turn the corner along the street, these front yard setbacks are more like 20 feet. And these are the footprints, the ones in dark gray that is overlaid over the lot. And by the way, we clarified that this property is already subdivided into 2 lots. We are moving the this property line over and reconfiguring the two lots.
Yeah, that's not necessarily accurate, Christina, because there are two tax lots, but I had gone back and looked at the various deeds to this property going back, I don't know, to the 1980s, maybe earlier, and the two lots have been conveyed several times under one description. So I don't think they're two separate lots. I mean, they're two tax lots, but that has no bearing on development.
I agree with you. I'm sorry. I meant to say they're two different tax laws.
Yeah.
The discrepancy was we only had one tax lot number for this, and there are actually two tax lots. And I'm sorry, I probably maybe misunderstood that. You're right. It is two tax lots, but not two building lots.
Right, and that's why,
right?
that's why it's a true subdivision. It's a two-lot subdivision. Not just a lot line adjustment, but an actual two-lot subdivision.
Has that been approved? I mean, is that something that's legal now?
As far as I'm concerned.
Okay,
Yeah.
just asking.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard a question, is it legal? We are,
No, she was
this
asking
should
me,
be
that's
in
okay.
a right scheme, but all the setbacks and lot coverage meets the zoning code. So our intention is to meet all zoning regulations.
Well, I'm sorry, I guess this was discussed at the last meeting, right?
Yes.
So this is,
Yes,
Yes.
the pre-submission.
Pretty much just presented.
okay. So I apologize, this is my first time seeing it or reviewing it this week. Not this moment, the first time I'm looking at this week. And I guess I still have what I guess were issues that were raised at the last meeting, which is I do think that the buildings still look too similar to me. I mean, I realize there are a few sort of cosmetic things that have been done, with the exception of the hip roof on the other building. I assume that the floor plans of these buildings are identical. Is that right? And have not changed in terms of where the rooms are and so on. Is that right, Christina? Sorry?
I have yes, I have the floor plans here if you'd like to see them.
I assume that they're just straight up mirrors of each other. And so in the end, I just feel like, I don't think it's convincing and it doesn't feel architectural to me to try to differentiate them by like the sort of the direction of the siding or the color of the siding and a series of things that are really pretty paper thin, with the exception of the kind of the hip roof. So to me, it still bothers me that they look like they're these twins of each other. And then the other thing is, I do think that the front setback does look more imposing on the block than sort of the way you're showing it in the site plan. I mean, I drove up there and I think, I was trying to visualize where those buildings would be. It might be worth staking it out, actually, for us, which we've done, as you know, sometimes with other projects. But they feel, even though they're not way out in front of the other buildings, it is out quite a bit out in front of its immediate neighbor. And I think it feels like it's going to be more of an imposition on Lyman Place than the other houses that are there. So the footprints of these buildings, they conform to the what you're permitted to build on these lots once the lot line is moved over or the subdivision is complete?
Yes. You know, we might be able to adjust this one and make sure they all line up. I think there is a consistent setback on the street, except for this house next door.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably can get the houses to all align with that. And if you like, I'll see how I can create more just similarity. Maybe.
I mean, do they
the
really
floor
have
plan-
to be, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The floor plans are the same, and that's the, I guess, the criteria I'm working with for modulars, but I can see if there can be some changes to them. I did look into having the driveways and garages elsewhere, but it's not really possible. You know, both of them have garages in front.
But it's not possible because of this, of the modular system, the limits of the modular system?
No, not at all. It's not that. It's just that a driveway, a garage in the back, there's no way to put a garage on the side with these two lots. I mean, they're not total, I mean, they're 60 by 110. So you can't put the garage in the back, otherwise it takes up the, it's right where you want your backyard and green space. But I can see if there might be some changes. That is hard to change where the garages are. I might be able to line up the houses better. I thought maybe not having them lined up would give it a little more variety too.
Right. No, I know.
Definitely push them back so that they are the same consistent, I think 25-foot setback. The house on the left can't be any closer to the property line because of the strong drainage system.
And do the other houses on that elevation have garages in the front?
Most of them have garages on the side of the properties.
Right.
Some have driveways on the side, some have garages on the side, they're all.
Excuse me, you can't speak out, it's not a public hearing yet, and besides, they can't hear at home. So when you have a comment.
Well, I can explore how we can mix these up more. They're not very big houses, 2,600 square feet, but I think we might have to look at the floor plan to see how we can change them a bit, and even maybe different colors, make each one more unique.
Yeah.
I'm open to that.
Mhm. Did you ever do a site plan variation where, rather than mirroring them, they were just in series?
We
you know what I
did,
mean?
actually, we need one, the same orientation, like the
The
garage
previous
on the
plan
same
did
side.
have them the same?
I think so, yeah. Didn't the previous plan have them the same orientation?
Like not
No.
mirrored, but in series?
No, the only reason not to do it in series is to keep the driveways apart and have more green space. That was the idea. And I'm not sure if what difference that, it's easy to do that. We can have them in series. It might make them even more similar, but that may not be the way to, that may not be relevant to giving the houses more dissimilarity.
So anyway, those would be my two things. I think the front setback issue, and I feel like there's something to me unconvincing about trying to make them look different by changing colors and materials and things. It feels, I don't know, it doesn't feel architecturally significant enough to me. I think there ought to be a way to change something in the plans of the houses to make them feel more different.
I always thought they were more like, kind of like sister houses, so it's all depending on what you'd like what the right thing is to do, I guess, because, I think, the idea of having a garage in the front, I mean, I don't know if the plans, I'll show you the plans, so you can see that, just so you understand. The plans are set up so that there's a two-car garage and entry here to the side. And because of the size of each lot, you really can only fit a garage and an entry in front. So how different they can be has to do with all architectural treatment in terms of, you know, types of windows, but not the function so much. These functions probably still need to be in front of the house.
You know,
So I guess
I think for
go
me
back
that
and-
they just, I mean, just looking at the streetscape, it looks like, you know, most of the houses have like porches and more of a kind of a traditional look. And these houses, the new proposed ones are just appear to be a little more sterile, if that's fair, I don't know. And they look like they're more, I mean, they're nice houses, but they look like they're more kind of like they would be on a lake or something.
Christina, do you have Google, do you have a way, I want to just show everybody, do you have a way of going to the Google Maps aerial of this and showing it on your screen?
Yes,
Because I want to show you something. When I was looking at this and looking at the roof forms and so on, I want to show you something that.
These houses were built at the same time. Look how different. Clinton,
Really?
yeah. I mean, they're not completed yet here. They aren't done in real life, but you can see how different they are. And it worked.
okay.
Right, so,
Can you all
so
see
do you have
this?
just the straight up aerial view of it, of the street? Not the street view, but just the aerial planimetric view. Like on Google Maps, if you just go to Google Maps and you go to the aerial layer, it'll show it that way.
Just click in the lower, yeah, there you go. There you go.
Down where?
Yeah, in the lower left, that box
Oh,
right
yeah.
there, that's it.
Okay, hold on.
Right. So, here, zoom out a tiny bit. So now, I just want to show you something. So, because I was looking at this, and I thought, oh, this idea of twinning the two houses, that's already happening, right? Like, if you leave these two. So
Can she
these
see him?
Two aerials.
I can't hear you.
Somebody else did this. Basically twin, but essentially, if you look at the roof maps. But if you go down the street view now, you look at these, they look completely different. Go to the street view and look at.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't use the map. He wants you to look at the street view of those
Yeah.
two buildings.
So now, if you, I guess my point is, if you looked at just the roof plan, you'd say, oh, somebody else did a twin development, and maybe they were built at the same time.
Right to the left there, yeah.
But if you go down to the street view,
Those two,
right,
correct.
look at the street view of those two houses.
Yeah, drop Peg Man in front of them.
Right,
There you go.
they're there. They look
Yeah.
completely different. Even though they look like they have identical footprints when you look at them as a roof plan, and I wouldn't be surprised in the interior if they are very similar in terms of the plan, but there are
Except for the second story.
significant differences in terms of the way the second story was handled. And I don't know, they look like very different houses. And I feel like the basic problem I have is that you're basically trying to build the same house twice. I mean, literally.
I think the guy on the left probably just needed more space upstairs.
Totally different footprint.
And so,
Are they?
so,
You know, I
don't know.
know they're like sister houses and they're very similar, but if you want this kind of really uniqueness of each home, then we can try different ideas and definitely different colors and really try to keep each house its own unique architecture.
I just think I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that you're going to be able to pull it off as long as the floor plans of the two houses are identical. I think it's just gonna look, it's never gonna really quite be convincing, in my opinion.
I think for me, it's the fact that the garages are the garage doors are the prominent feature in
Yeah.
front of each of those. It's really different than the other houses in the neighborhood.
That's what I was saying, these are more porches and more
Yeah, it's
traditional
more
kind of.
inviting streetscape.
Yeah. Where people park, I guess some of them don't have garages and people just park on the side of the houses. So I agree, I think the garage thing is also,
It's just so prominent.
it's not, yeah, it's very different than what else is on that street. I'm just looking at it now on Google Street View. And I'm not seeing any, actually, not seeing garages at all. Seeing driveways along the sides of the houses.
I don't even know where the garage is or where, like at this house, can't even, oh, here it is. It's tucked in on the side. Most of the garages are detached, I think.
Yeah. So,
But it's just that the porches are the prominent feature. Front doors.
We just finished this house across the street that also has a separate garage detached at the end of the driveway. Well, I'll look into this and get back to you on it. I think, I'm working with a modular company, and I think there are some limitations on what layout you can do for these houses in that size lot with and provide a two-car garage. I think most of the garages on the street are one-car garages too. But
well, that's the thing. I mean, does it have to be a two-car garage? So,
I'm gonna look into that because, if I don't know if we need to, we can provide the parking without a two-car garage, but I'd like to look into that,
I'd like to thank all the folks that wrote letters about this. They're really good.
Yeah.
very detailed.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good.
Yeah.
I don't agree with everything, but
No, but
I'm glad to hear from everybody.
Yeah.
this is one particular.
All right, well, I guess we'll come back with some other ideas at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think we should call for a public hearing.
I don't.
You don't?
He's gonna come
Yeah, I don't
back.
think we're ready.
You don't think we're
Yeah.
ready?
We need to see another, as far as I'm concerned, we
Okay.
we need to see another scheme.
Just the-
Okay.
I think the folks who are looking at last month's
Yeah,
design
okay, all right,
may not be up to date.
that's fine. Then I move that we continue the pre-submission conference.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Christina.
All right, next on our agenda, 327 Ashford Avenue, pre-submission conference for proposed removal of in-ground pool, new two-car garage with ADU and site work.
First ADU.
You don't know.
Really?
Right.
So it is.
Is it an ADU? Is it a garage? Is it an ADU? Is it a garage?
You?
I'm not going to do much talking, but I want to introduce myself. I'm Andrew Enkeval. I'm the homeowner here. This is Ira.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome.
As you mentioned, I'm Ira, the architect.
This is an interesting property. I never knew about it.
And I couldn't get up to see it. You can't get up to see it. It's a private driveway, it's fenced off, like where a little chain thing across it. It's hard to see where it is when you drive by. Yeah, one of those signs, you can read the sign, you're in
So is the access actually off Ashford?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, and I couldn't get up it because it was a
It's a
chain
private,
crossing,
like,
private
road.
drive.
Yeah. How's your head?
Do you have a problem with unwanted visitors?
No, I'm sorry, unwanted visitors?
Yeah.
There's several houses around you, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
They used to all have the same address, which was really painful. That's been mostly rectified.
Okay, so, yeah, the property is unique. It's, the entrance to, from Ashford is between a couple of little balusters here, balustrades, little entrance that winds around and a single driveway and services all these houses, as well as this property over here, which has its own connection to Ashford, but winds around there and through the, in front of the house at 327, and in front of the area where we're going to be building or we're proposing to do the two-car garage and the ADU above. Currently, there's a pool that's there, so we would take that out. And this is the existing condition survey. So north is this way in here, but the pool's up in here with the set of stairs going up. So this is the existing condition with the pool. We would take out this terracing alongside the driveway. We would take that out. And and then put in the new building would have, it would be at grade for the garage, but then the rest of it is tucked into the hillside. And the upper level is, that's not the upper level, but I mean, this would be the view from the property line, basically, looking towards the house. And a view from the front of the property, or towards the front of the property on the driveway. So the two-car garage is all, and the lower level is all clad with the field stone, which matches the existing walls that are on the property. The upper part is all wood siding. And we're, I'll show you in some other pictures, but we're replicating the style of the windows in the front. And we've got a low slope roof, so we're using a metal, standing seam metal roof. There is a little bit of change from the plans that were submitted, an update. We tried to maximize the amount of impervious surface, but we mistakenly didn't understand part of the survey, which included a very large triangle of
You meant to say you wanted to minimize.
Yes.
The pervious surface, right?
Right.
Just the correct.
And
Impervious.
impervious surface. We wanted to increase.
Maximize the pervious.
Right. Because it's currently at 56%. And we were trying to get it down. We couldn't get it within the code allowance, but we came much closer. But this easement triangle for turnaround needs to stay open, even though there's some existing overlap. And it services the neighbor over here. I don't know why this turnaround is required on this property and not the end of the line, but that's what we've got. So instead of the reduction is much less, 0.5% instead of what we were previously looking at. The trees, there's a dead tree that's already on a separate permit that was that is, I don't know if it's been approved, but it was granted for a dead tree, so that's coming out. And the rest of the area that will be, so we're regaining a little bit of lawn here, and then this area will have some woodland plants and shrubs. And these are a few of the ones that will be going in. The ground floor and the upper floor with the ADU. The This is the view from the west, from the house, side of the house. Pathway up from side towards the neighbors. And there's the view towards the driveway, which you'll see those windows again. And this is the panorama from, basically from where the driveway goes on to the neighboring property, with the pool up here. So this will all become, will be where the new structure sits. That's from the building looking towards the pool. So we're keeping this wall, we're filling in where the stairs are now, and the tree looks good here, but it's not, it isn't good, it's not good health. And the new structure will sit right in here. A few other views. So this is, I guess I don't have a view of those windows, but they're used throughout the existing house. I mean, you can kind of see them in the back here. They're on that side, they're on the other side, they're on the ground floor on this side. So, the only view I have is the one where they're not on. And then I can talk about some of the finishes and stuff if you want, but what would you like to?
Kind of public hearing next month.
No.
No?
I guess I'm curious about why the garage or new building looks so different than the existing home.
We're seeing it as separate structure and not something that, that home is unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's with the multiple roofs and, I don't think it should even be, we should even attempt to, I think the best communication is actually to be something different and let it highlight the uniqueness of that house rather than trying to keep the same language and, it would just never compare. So the dialogue of opposites.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know, to me, it's a little bit either here or there, because you're it's trying to use the same window in a very modern-looking flat roof structure. You should have put in crazy round windows and, make it totally different, black cube or something, or do some shapes that reflect the main building, which I would prefer, actually.
I second that. I kind of don't know what this architecture is. I agree with you that there's sort of two ways to go. One is to sort of riff on the old building, which you could do. You could do a fairly modern building with, for instance, a single pitch roof that somehow picked up on all the various pitch roofs on the other side. But instead, you just have this flat sloping roof that really doesn't, which I don't actually even associate with a purely modern house. It's exactly what Steve said. It's sort of neither here nor there. I can't quite figure out, if you had done something that really was meant to be like this modern jewelry box, completely different than the existing house, I like that idea, but it's not, it's somehow, I can't tell sort of what
I don't
style
see
it is. And huh?
I don't see it as a jewelry box at all. I see this as a utilitarian structure
Well-
that is, I mean, it's
I'm
part,
saying it could be, it could either be a modernist building, in which case I would expect to see things like, for instance, open corner windows as opposed to punched openings, as an example. And instead, you have this sort of the windows borrowed from the old building in a structure that is completely different than the old structure. So it's sort of, like, I think either you should go modern with it, and it should, like, really look like a modern kind of thing that you're supposed to completely disassociate from the old building, or do something that actually is more riffing on the old building, which I do think you could do. I'm not saying you should do it. It's not like you have to imitate all of the details that are in this old idiosyncratic house. But I mean, even just having a pitched roof would make it look like I don't think it'd be impossible to make the big old house and the new structure look like they're big brother and little brother, or somehow related, even though they're not the same. They don't have to be identical to talk to each other in that way. Or if they're going to completely deny each other, then it should be something that's more clearly modernist, in my opinion, in terms of especially the windows and like the way the windows are disposed on the different elevations.
I'm just not so sure that's our role.
We're the AHRB.
AHRB.
Yeah.
The days of you being able to slap me
Yeah.
down for that are over, my friend. Because we are now the AHRB as well as the planning
Oh, I
board.
see. So you had your AHRB hat on.
Yeah.
I have my,
We should actually have different hats, right?
we should.
and I should add that we are maxed out at the height. We've already gone through zoning, but we're 1.5 feet above the allowable for the ADU.
Oh, right.
It's only 1.5 stories, and we've gotten a variance for 2 stories, and 20-foot maximum. So really to put more pitch on this is taking away the square footage.
Well,
It could be a flat roof.
I mean, this is a flat roof.
it's a sloped roof. It's different.
Well, because there's no such thing as a flat roof.
There are. We have houses come before us that have them. I mean, what you see behind the parapet may be sloped, but they look flat. They don't look sloped.
Correct.
I mean, a true modern, if we were really trying to be by the book on it, it probably would appear from the side elevations like it was a flat roof. Even if on the interior behind the parapet, it was sloped for drainage in some way.
But the image, I mean, what you have on your plan, I don't know if that's a realistic image as.
No, because, they're two separate, this
Right.
makes it look like they're attached.
Yeah,
I know,
that's
and
okay.
I'm
Very weird
But in
view.
terms of lining up just the proportions of the horizontal lines of the main house somehow echo the horizontal lines in the ADU. Just even that would help.
Are you looking at the perspective or the side?
It's hard for me to say because I haven't been there, and I don't know if that's a realistic view or not.
Well, it's not because this makes it look like the ADU is an addition to the house because there are
No, I
montage
understand
of that,
it's in
but
front
they're
of the
not.
house, but still, if there was a horizontal line that sort of echoed the roof line, or
I think it's the
window, the top of
proportions.
the window line, or I think.
In this view, it looks to me that the ADU is so big, it doesn't have any relationship to the house. It's that elevation, I think it's deceiving,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, the
Proportionally
The-
too. I mean, it
The
doesn't,
siding does come down further. It is the ADU part, we're using a rain screen. So there is and there's the cantilever towards the front, so the siding does come down with the, we're using Passive House standards for the insulation, so all of that builds out the bulk of it and needs to come down in front of the, beyond the floor structure. So that's where it sort of, it's, and it has, and then we're going all the way up to the, to the top of the roof structure. So it appears much larger than it is because of that, those insulation requirements.
It's great that you're going Passive House.
I mean, it's not much of a stretch from the stretch code to passive, so might as well.
And what about parking and stuff like that? Is that all?
Two garages.
There's a two-car garage, and then there's
Is it
there's
two
two
car
more
gara-
spaces out
Okay.
front. So there's four.
So there's no existing garage?
The,
No.
yeah, I mean, there are, sorry, there are the two. Yeah, so there are two over there, and then two can be, there are two here.
So there's four,
Enough for six.
Four outdoor spaces?
four outdoor spaces
outdoor
and
spaces,
two
yeah.
spaces in a garage.
Yep.
And how many units? Is it one house
It's one house and one ADU.
and one ADU?
The ADU is only allowed in one-family zones.
Right.
Right.
By the way, as one of the people who is a big advocate for the ADU effort and so on, I have just a question for the owner, which is, if they know who's gonna, if they're renting this out speculatively and they don't know, or if it's a family member, or what is your plan?
We have family members fighting over who wants to move in. The plan is not to rent it to a random person or anything like that.
Which, by the way, I mean, just to be clear, renting to a random person is exactly what the ADU is for. No, I mean, it's
Sure.
supposed to be for it's supposed to increase the housing stock, so
Yeah.
there's no right answer to the question. I was just curious in this situation, what you're doing, and is it you're in charge, them rent or whatever, or is it for additional income?
It ideally won't be for additional income. The immediate use will be that we have two young kids and their grandparents live out on Long Island, so this will enable grandparents to stay for longer stretches. Maybe a brother-in-law or something moves in longer term, but we haven't really thought much beyond that.
Okay, I'm just curious. It has nothing to do with this approval. Since we're trying to get these, I'm curious, as we get them in, what the model is, what people want to use them for and so on.
We'll charge the brother-in-law rent, but not the grandparents.
They'll pay.
Because you'll get the insurance.
Thank you.
You guys, do you have any comments, or?
Well, I guess my only comment is I'd like to know if you're willing to try addressing some of the design issues that we've raised about the architectural vocabulary.
Yeah.
Unless we come and visit the site, it would be useful to get some photographs sort of coming up the driveway and looking at the approach.
Yeah, so and there was one comment on the letter that came yesterday, about showing the other properties, and I just want, the houses are so,
You can't really see them, can you?
yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't go up there. I tried to go up there today.
You can, got to be careful. I've had to get my car towed out of there, but
Oh.
yeah, I mean, that, you can see these houses from the road, but once you make that turn, you see that one, but then from here, you don't see.
Would it be
any
okay
others.
to walk up there to park on the trigonal?
There's no,
Won't get
no
shot at.
parking on Ash Street, people park on Briar.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah.
We have parking in
we have 2 cars and there's 4 spots, so you're welcome to drive up and walk around.
Okay.
And there's enough turnaround.
How many other houses are on the cul-de-sac?
There's 4 plus 5 total.
5
shared
total.
driveway.
And have you shared this with any of your
Yeah,
cul-de-sac mates yet?
yeah, we are in, I'll talk into the microphone. We're in pretty constant communication with these neighbors who are they're separated by a driveway. They're very, very close to us. So they've been involved. And then these neighbors here, whose house is up here, they've also been very involved. And after the zoning board meeting, they had some comments for us. So we've already kind of like privately addressed those. One of those was, as Ira mentioned, just issues about the easement. So the change that Ira said he will be resubmitting is opening that easement back up a little bit from what we had proposed, which was encroaching on it a little bit. We didn't realize the terms of this weird triangle easement. The other issue is that they said that when we had originally proposed pavers, which were semi-permeable to increase the amount of permeable land, that they were concerned that these pavers might not stand up to a lot of use, big trucks turning around, oil trucks delivering. This house currently is not on, it's not on sewer, and it's not, I don't think it's on gas. So they have oil delivered, they have septic come. So they wanted to make sure that they asked, and we agree, to turn this back into asphalt, but that does come at the cost of not reducing our permeable land.
Right.
So we haven't heard any comments from these folks. We sent them the certified mail, obviously,
Yeah,
and
right.
they're there. They're there all the time. So haven't involved them. Haven't heard from them either.
Okay, thank you.
I think I need a site visit.
Yeah, or should we come organized or
We're not,
Let's go take a look.
but it really,
Notice it if it's organized.
yeah,
Sure, okay.
maybe
Should we make a
organized.
date?
And notice if it's organized.
Pick a date.
Yeah. We have to notice it.
Yes.
We need a site
If
visit.
you're gonna go together, yes.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go together, we have to notice it, otherwise we can just go on our own.
Right.
I know we have to notice it.
Well, I'm by there every morning, so
Here, what?
I go by there every morning.
Oh.
November 18th or 19th. Is that enough time?
When's Thanksgiving?
Oh, it's the next week. So that's.
I think we should go up on our own.
Let's go up on our own.
Yeah, let's just go up on our
Yeah.
own.
All right.
Or 2 of us can go.
Yeah, that's right.
2 of us can go together.
So we're not gonna.
Just can't, 3 of us can't be together.
Who wants to go?
Okay,
So I think you guys covered my concerns.
okay.
I think that's it,
Yeah,
right?
okay, thank you.
See you next month.
I'll continue to please finish.
So we're not going to do official site visit?
So we're going
No.
to do a continued
Do our own
resubmission?
site visit?
Yeah, continue the pre-submission.
Yeah,
Individual site visits.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No more than,
Probably better
no more than 2 a year.
get up there with the costs.
okay, good.
I think we only have one more thing, right?
Review proposed zoning text.
Yeah, I read through it. It looks good to me.
Okay, well, except,
Okay.
I would like to strongly make the case that first of all, I want to thank Dan, because Dan had met with me and some of the other people in the Affordable Housing Task Force about this, about how can we reduce the fees for ADU applications as a way of encouraging them. And that's what this current draft local law is suggesting. However, the way it's drafted, it's somehow at our discretion as to, it's sort of a little bit like what we're doing with the parking, where theoretically it's our discretion to waive or not waive the recreation fee.
Really?
And I feel very strongly that it should be waived outright. It should just not be somebody who's thinking that they want to create an ADU needs to know what their costs are going to be. And it can be anywhere, depending on how many bedrooms, it's either $8,000 or $10,000, which, by the way, is an order of magnitude higher than the recreation fees that, the sort of impact fees that are charged by any of our neighbors. It's a big number. And if the idea is to encourage ADUs, I think it's important that that fee just not even be considered. It's not the impact of it, it's just hard for me to imagine how, first of all, we're not going to get many of these things under any circumstances if suddenly we started, and changing this rule isn't going to suddenly make a flood of people come in here and try proposing ADUs. That hasn't been the experience in any of our neighboring towns. None of them who have reached the maximum that they allow in their law. They're expensive to build, and we're not going to be overwhelmed with them. And to the extent we want to encourage them, I think we have to sort of try to grease the skids a little bit, and getting rid of the recreation fee is a way to do it. But if it's provisional, it's not going to be the same incentive to somebody, because they don't know how this board is going to change. We have an election coming up. Who knows what, I don't know that things are going to change significantly, but there's a scenario where they do, and we all serve at the pleasure of the mayor. And there's a different board on here that's hostile to it and decides that they're going into it, if you're going to propose an EDU, I think you need to know what it's going to cost, and it's a big number.
Well, how about some kind of a grade based on what the cost of the project is? I mean, we just looked at a six-figure, maybe multi-six-figure project. It doesn't seem like the fee is that big a percentage of the total cost of the project.
But
if somebody's putting a bigger bathroom in their basement and a door, it's a huge part of the cost of the project. You see what I'm saying?
I do, but I still think we're trying to slice something in a way that's just complicating something that doesn't need to be complicated, and that doesn't have, the idea of the recreation fee is that presumably if you build a new house and you move in with a bunch of kids, you pay a recreation fee because the load on those village things is going up. The amount of increased load that any of the services in this village are going to experience as a result of people building ADUs is de minimis. And it's not real. It's not a real number. And it's certainly in comparison to the desire to try to increase the housing stock with the ADU law.
And now you're.
Cuts against it.
But you're also not putting a limit to who can live in that ADU, so what if?
There's no limit now.
Right.
It just has to be the homeowner, the owner of the house.
Right, so if someone moves in with 3 kids,
Where?
a single woman in an ADU, and has, the kids in the bedroom and she sleeps on the couch in the living room.
We can make up scenarios. I'm
asking.
just telling you what the reality is and the experience has been of other towns. It's just not, it's not a real, we're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, and we're discouraging the very thing that we're trying to encourage with the ADU in the first place.
And what is the fee again for the ADU?
It's $8,000.
No matter what.
We didn't calibrate, right? We didn't recalibrate the fee for an ADU. And by the way, that fee, even for just building
And where
a
does that money
house,
go to?
is out of, it goes theoretically, it goes into the recreation, whatever the
Yeah,
line item
the
is.
recreation fund, it's like 7,500 for a one-bedroom and then 10,000.
What does that
for-
recreation fund do? Is it,
It's like, it helps.
They use
support
it, like, I believe they use some of that for the
Summer
park when they did the
camp.
Gould
Gould
Park
Park
Road,
summer
yeah.
Right.
camp, all that stuff. It's all
Okay.
good.
right.
It also is completely out of scale, by the way, with anything that we can find in, anywhere in Westchester. We don't, I mean, I don't even think, or I think Hastings doesn't even have a recreation.
By how
fee.
much? By a lot, like,
Yeah, by a lot.
It's a one-time.
So,
Well, that language came from somewhere. Is the board interested in keeping
I don't know.
those recreation?
They
I
did just change it. It used to be a 10,000 flat fee, and now they've reduced it for like a one-bedroom, a studio, and then it goes up for a four-bedroom house. They made some changes to it, but
They're not gonna get rid of it.
Well, they might for the ADU.
They may.
I mean, I spoke to one, I'll just say I talked to one board member, who shall remain nameless, who said it absolutely shouldn't be there. He didn't understand why we were like trying to make it at our discretion. I mean, that's the weird thing, right? It's like one thing with the parking, like I get it, we can go there and we
Right.
can see this street is chock-a-block with cars, we're gonna make this ADU person do it. But trying to come up with the discretionary criteria that we would use for whether or not somebody would have to be charged a recreation fee, based on what? Now, I mean, I suppose you could make up a scenario where somebody, you know, I'm the last person living in my family in a big old house. I move into the ADU and I rent my big house. There's nothing, it's not, the big house goes to the family of five. Maybe that's the scenario that they're imagining would happen. I suppose it's possible. That five-bedroom house was always there, right? And generally, we're charging because somebody's building something new. It just seems so,
I think they put it, I'm guessing that they put it discretionary because how do they just waive it for the ADU and then somebody else that's developing, say, a two-family house in another zone, a MDR zone?
because it's an ADU.
But that same person could be, like in an MDR one zone, you could build a legal, you could have a two-family house there, and they are getting charged a recreation fee. What's the difference from that to an ADU?
The ADU is
They're
small.
paying that, they have no discretion, they're paying it either way.
I don't know, maybe they should, but it's not an ADU.
Right, I'm
I mean, it
just-
won't be hard.
Right, I
It won't be
understand.
hard to do it because it's gonna be we're only gonna waive it for the ADU and something either is an ADU or it isn't, right?
No,
Yeah.
understood.
so,
I'm
Whereas
just trying to think
to
why they
decide-
gave it the discretion, I don't.
Yeah, like whereas trying to figure out, well, should this person pay a recreation fee or not? What is that discussion gonna look like?
this is interesting, that a special permit expires when somebody sells the house.
Yeah, they have to
have to
get
re-
this.
It's every 3 years, right, for the,
I don't see.
or every 5, I forget.
What, automatic, they have to come back and
Yes.
automatic, get it renewed?
Yes,
I don't
And if
see-
it changes ownership, for sure.
Yeah, interesting.
my biggest
I'm
problem.
okay with waiving the fee.
So I think if we're trying to get
I
more
mean,
housing in the
there's a
village,
limit of 50 of these things.
we're not gonna see that. You know, Hastings had a limit of 50. They put that in to calm the waters when they wanted to do this, and everybody was running around with their hair on fire saying, this is the end of single-family zoning. They have 30. They've had their law in place for I don't know how long. They have 30.
I think
We also have 50 as our limit, right?
30, I think ours
We'll be
is.
lucky,
No, ours is
50.
Is it? And
we'll be lucky if we see 10 in my,
Irvington has a limit of 30, I think, and they
I
got
don't know,
like
we already
2.
have this one, I just looked at plans today for another one.
good. I hope that the real thing that's not been solved is all of the ADUs that everybody knows exist that are not,
Ridge Road,
huh?
Ridge Road.
That are not legal. They're just under
That's not
the
a
radar.
ADU, though. That's a 3-family house.
You know, and some towns have tried to, you know,
Well, they said,
I guess when they, huh?
they said by creating the ADU law, maybe people will legalize their illegal dwelling units, but,
It could happen if they don't have to do much.
Well, only
yeah,
if
but
they-
Depends.
they're gonna
But
pay
you're
the
gonna have to
tax
go
on it.
inspect
and they're
their
gonna-
house.
Yes.
Yeah, but it has to.
You're gonna go inspect their house.
It has
and-
to meet all the requirements of the building department.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. It's-
They still have to meet all that, all
Oh,
the
yeah.
residential code, all the
Yeah, the
local.
parking, you know, the water, everything.
So if they go to sell the house. all
Well,
they-
that's the thing now, if it expires in 3 years and you sell the house and you have 2 kitchens in that house, that's where it gets tough for the building department.
Right, don't you have to tear it out? Don't they have to?
They have to remove it.
I guess I didn't see that in the law where they have to tear out the kitchen and the bathroom that we let them put in, or somebody like this over the garage, what do you do, make them remove everything?
Let's see.
Technically, I think it's just the stove that they have to remove.
Well, but you could
And the
just say you're
refrigerator.
kosher.
The what?
You could
And
just say you're
refrigerator, isn't
kosher,
it?
and you have to have 2 kitchens. How you gonna get around that one?
They don't allow 2 kitchens.
No.
I have 2 kitchens.
You shouldn't.
Well, there was a kosher family there. They have there's 2 kitchens side by side.
Yeah.
They're not part of a separate unit, they're
That's-
side by side.
They're in the same room.
Well, there's a door between them, but that's
The
it.
new owner
That's
must.
probably considered one kitchen. If there was one downstairs and one upstairs.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, that's,
I understand. So Rob, I am a little concerned. I understand everything you're saying, and it makes sense to me, but I am a little concerned about whether there's any kind of effect on how things are developed going forward, because this fee would be eliminated. I admit if you're building a whole
Just
new
for ADUs.
property, right? But would somebody do an ADU in a smaller house instead of a single larger structure, and is that good or bad for development? And then the second thing is, is there any precedents, are there any other issues that we're not thinking about that might be affected by eliminating that fee? And, if so, do we want to just make it really small?
Or the other thing is, if,
You can look into it if you want.
One of the
You can get Valerie and Dan to look into it. I just have trouble making the case for it. I don't see what the
hard
downside
to
is.
create an ADU, because like for somebody too that is retiring and maybe they want to stay in the neighborhood, that's what the ADU really was for, and the kids maybe take over the house. They're trying to save money and then you're charging these fees, that's what.
my thought is, if you're gonna have an accessory structure like he's gonna have, you're gonna build it. It's gonna be a separate entity from your home. That should have a rec fee. But if I'm gonna finish my basement to make an ADU, that shouldn't have a rec fee.
Well,
That's
I don't
why,
know.
that's the way I think the Board of Trustees.
Yeah, I
looked
mean,
at it.
this is what's in the
And that's why I
code.
left it
This
in
is
your
what's in the code.
discussion.
You're allowed to do all.
The purpose is this: establish smaller dwelling units without increasing building density by
Yes.
utilizing residential and accessory building resources as a means to meet the housing needs of populations that may be underserved, especially in single persons, couples of all ages. So it's utilizing existing building stock.
You're allowed to build, no, that's not true. The configuration, if you read
Well, that's what
on,
the purpose is here.
if you read on, other configurations are allowed, including separate structures.
Up to 800 square feet.
Up to 800 square
Yeah,
feet,
yeah.
which is very small. You're allowed, there are 3, you can either do it within the envelope, you can add on
Yeah,
to
but
the
you-
existing envelope, or you can build
Well,
a
that's,
separate
that's
structure.
like if you had an existing garage, and you
Utilize
build
existing
an
buildings.
ADU above.
To the extent that you can, but
Yeah,
that's
so
not the,
that's something that's arguable when we're looking at it with the planning board. You know what I mean?
no.
So if you had an existing garage and
We
you
would
built an
prefer using
ADU, then
it
it's one
to
thing.
expand
This
and
guy's
use
building a
existing-
I don't know that I
different
prefer
structure.
that. What this guy's proposing is completely reasonable. I happen to not like it architecturally. But it's
Right.
actually the model. You're building a garage with an ADU over it. It's actually one of the
Yeah, but he's
models,
building the
one of the
garage.
classic models of what an ADU is.
Our
But he
code
also has
kind of
4
controls
spots, right?
his design too, because an
doesn't-
accessory structure is only allowed to be a story and a half and so high, so
Right, it limits.
that's what
He
controls
couldn't
the
do a peak
accessory.
roof because it's considered an accessory structure.
And it's a height limit, it's not like to the middle of the peak or anything, it's a 20-foot height limit. He actually got a variance for 1.75 1.75. 1.75.
So how many other people are gonna get variances?
But suppose you wanted to do a garage, so suppose you wanted to do a garage and a unit above it and with a pitched roof.
Accessory structure can only be 20 feet or a story and a half, as per our code.
Maybe that's a problem, right? Because I would think,
Well, then they
I would
would,
think a classic thing would be a garage with a granny flat. You know, the classic ADU is a garage with a granny flat on top of it and a pitched roof. That's like the classic.
right,
For a separate structure, can we not do that?
Or-
Now you're 25-foot height or something.
right, because it's not measured to the peak of the roof. If it was measured to the midpoint of roof, then it would still comply sometimes, but it's 20 feet in our code and a story and a half for an accessory structure.
Most of the accessories in Hastings are in somebody's house already.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, so it's a little.
Almost, and that's what we're gonna, that's probably what most of the ones that are sort of exist now that are under the radar are. People kind of do them, they cut off a piece of their basement or whatever.
But that's what limits his design too, with making it look like the house and everything.
Right, yeah,
It doesn't look like the house.
but he could make it look better.
No,
Yeah,
if he
because
tried
of
I
to.
could make it look
Yeah.
better, but it's really,
Right,
Or if he just built it without the two-car garage, then,
because
Right,
he already
still,
has
yeah.
4 spaces, so he doesn't really need it.
I don't know that he had the 4 spaces. He had 2 other spaces, because there is an easement to go to that property.
Oh.
There is, that's part of the driveway too. I was gonna look at that
He uses it as
again.
parking, but it's really the
Be-
easement to get to those two back.
The house in the back right now is gonna be demolished. It's not being used. It's been like that for years. So if somebody does develop that lot, maybe that driveway will be a little more active. And the reason why he has that turnaround on his property is because that other, I believe, because that other property has frontage on Ashford Avenue. So they could really close off that section and make their driveway come off Ashford Avenue. And that's a turnaround for the fire trucks or emergency vehicles. That's why it's on his property and not on the other property.
That's-
so I guess we're supposed to make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees.
Yes.
I would like to implore my fellow board members to make a recommendation that the recreation fee should be waived and it's entirely for ADUs.
I'm okay with that. Anybody else? No?
I'm not sure.
Why shouldn't they pay?
Because the idea of the recreation fee is for it to be an impact fee, right? It's not just to charge somebody extra money. There has to be a nexus between the impact fee and what you're trying to compensate for. What you're trying to compensate for in this case is additional load on village services, right? The amount of load that's likely to be created by an ADU might be something, and that's on this side of the scale. And on this side of the scale is an agenda to try to increase housing in the village, make it possible for people who want to stay in their homes but can't afford to have additional income to do it. It's another scenario. We heard another scenario tonight about who might go in there. It sounds like his grandparents, not necessarily going to be the heavy use on the recreation fee. So those are the two things. I'm not saying you build anything in the village, it has some impact. What we're weighing is the impact versus a policy decision we made, which is by creating an ADU law, which took us forever. It was actually supposed to be part of the original code adoption. And when was it? 2000 and, when did we adopt the current code?
But you digress.
Huh?
But you digress.
I'm just saying, we're behind the 8 ball here compared to our neighbors by many, many years. So we're trading the potential small impacts to what we hope will be an incentive to create more of these things, which was the whole idea of the legislation.
So now, if you have an ADU, is your taxes, do you pay more tax on that property?
I guess you do.
Yes,
I guess you
because
do
you're
because you
improving it. You're
improved-
adding a
improved the property,
bathroom.
You added a.
Anytime you
bathroom.
add a bathroom, kitchen,
It's not
they're
like you
gonna,
get to do it for free.
Well, I guess my question would be then, what about garbage pickup and you're adding to what the village,
I'll repeat what I said. I'm not saying there's no impact from an ADU. I'm saying we're weighing two things. The impact from the ADU versus the desire to create the benefits that come with the ADU. That's what we're weighing.
So what about new
Garbage and stuff
construction?
would be
What
dumped
keeps
with
somebody
that.
from doing 3 bedrooms and an ADU and saving money
You're not
instead of
allowed.
4
You
bedrooms?
can't.
You're not allowed.
Could only
Two
go
bedrooms
2
max.
bedroom.
Not allowed.
max
You're
on
very
ADU.
constrained. These
Two-bedroom
things,
max, 800 square
these
feet.
things.
No, you're building a brand-new structure,
Right.
right? What's to keep somebody from saying, well, I'm gonna build 4 bedrooms and an ADU, or 5 bedrooms? And I can save money on the fee because I'm just calling it an ADU and I have a separate
You
door.
can't just call it an ADU. It can't be, you mean call the big house the ADU?
No,
No.
let's call the basement bedroom
Right.
an ADU instead of part of just
Well, it has
another
to have a
bedroom in the
kitchen.
house.
But
When-
it-
They have a
We use the
kitchen, a
planning board to
bathroom.
look in their eyes and see if they're lying or not.
No, but also that would,
It
it
has
would
to
have
be a
to have a
full
kitchen, a bathroom, and it'd have to be under special permit, the ADU.
Has a separate
They're not gonna
entrance.
go through all of that.
And a
to
special
see.
permit.
Right.
Which
We're
they have
like
to pay
making
10
up, we're
They have to pay $10,000 for
stretching
the
here,
special
Alan.
permit.
Coming up with.
I'm just looking for holes. I want to support your
appreciate
argument, but
I appreciate it.
I think it diverges from what we've been doing in the past by a lot, so.
Not really.
I mean, I would certainly support a reduced fee without any question.
That's not the question.
Or go if it's a new structure, no, if it's built in, it's modifying existing structure.
Like you said, the
yes.
way it's worded now, it's your discretion, but what Rob's saying is how do people know what they're gonna
It's a
spend
valid
to build the
argument.
ADU, so.
Right, why would I do an ADU if I think I might get slapped with something?
Yeah, and if it's our discretion, we're gonna be arguing over it
I-
like for an hour.
I agree. I think the discretion is probably a bad idea, but I also agree with you that, some reduction in the existing fees is also a good idea. But I'm not sure going to 0.
Well, I would go to
is-
0 for the ADU, and I don't know whether or not, it's another discussion about whether or not we want to reduce, and that's not even on the table yet, whether or not we want to reduce the fee structure overall, the recreation fee, to bring it more in line with our neighbors.
That's the Board of Trustees.
That's the Board of
That's
Trustees
not
decide.
not our problem.
And if they're gonna do away with the fee for an ADU completely, they're not
Yeah,
gonna reduce it.
but just to be clear, how much money how much money do you think realistically we're giving up by giving up the fees for these ADUs? It's nothing.
I agree with you there.
It's nothing. But in the meantime, we've discouraged some people, maybe, we don't know. I don't think it's like, if we waive this fee, I don't think all of a sudden we're gonna have people lined up outside the door doing ADUs. That's not the difference here. But it's at the margin, it could be the difference for a few, not having to have.
So how many legal ADUs do we have now?
Because by the way, that's
So
one,
that'd be
that's
zero.
one of the,
Oh, really?
that's one of the expenses. There are other, we tallied them up, there are other expenses that they're not getting out. They still have building fees, they still have escrow, they have to pay for our lawyers and our planners. There's submission fees, there's plenty before you get to the $8,000 or the $10,000. It's just that the 8 or the 10.
You're putting a kitchen in. Sometimes the bathroom's already there, but you're definitely putting another kitchen in.
It has to come to this board. So there's escrow to come to planning board.
I'm just saying, it's not like
No,
ADUs are
they are
free.
spending money already.
What are the tax implications?
Well, they'll have to.
Property tax implications?
That's what I was.
We don't know,
Well,
Greenberg.
if they add a bathroom or add a kitchen or
Their
something.
taxes will go up.
They're definitely going up. That's why, like, for the garbage and stuff, that would be kind of taken care
Right,
of by
that's,
that. That's
those
not direct
services
fee.
are all, we're talking strictly about the recreation fee.
Yeah.
I think I'd be willing to support it if it's inside an existing structure. If it's a new structure, I think they should pitch in.
I don't. So I don't know how we do this.
Do you
We take a
just wanna-
vote? Do we say how many of us feel like getting rid of it altogether and
This is a recommendation, right?
like, we're making a
We can
recommendation?
vote on it.
But it's gotta be a full recommendation.
Well,
I think it could be a split recommendation, because you'd be providing the board with as much, with the arguments.
Right.
There were 2 arguments here.
And they have to make the decision. We're just.
Right.
Do they have to give them a
So
recommendation
if we
tonight?
want to
So if it's
convince
so difficult here, it may be.
Well, I think it's
As you suggest, you have one that comes in, you'd be arguing the fee, all night, so.
I think it's only degrees. I mean, I think we all agree that if it's in the house, if it's in an existing structure, the fee could be waived.
I'm
If it's a
fine with
new
that.
structure, it could be discretionary.
Why?
Yeah, really,
That's a
at
good
the end of the
question.
day, why?
Do they have to give a
If
recommendation?
you're concerned about the
That's what
impact, like, it could be the same number of people.
Right.
Well, because you do it inside the house doesn't mean it isn't a person and a kid.
Do they have to give a recommendation tonight, or can the?
Can we carry it over to the next meeting?
No, if you just want to think about it, look into it a little, I'm just,
I mean, the
I
other
don't know.
thing is, if it's a separate building like this project, I mean, they could rent it out to anybody, and it could be an issue.
You could still rent the one out in your house to anybody, the ADU
You could
doesn't
rent
have
the
to.
one in your house out to
I'm not sure
anyone.
that this is the right way to address that, though.
Yeah.
You could rent
Well,
the
that-
one in your house out to anybody, and they're small. Remember, these things are, how many bedrooms?
Two.
Two max.
Two max, 800 square
square
feet.
feet.
I do most of my work in New York City. That's a big apartment.
Well, it is in,
Yeah.
well, it is.
Yeah, it is,
here.
nice size.
Some people have raised 2 kids in that space.
All right, so we table this for a month?
No,
No, they want to get
I
it.
think we should make a recommendation. If you want to insist on splitting it, we can, or if you think that there's something you want answered. I mean, if I sound frustrated, it's because I've been researching this.
He has been doing a
for-
lot of work on
I've
it.
been at this and researching it and answering these questions for a decade. So if you want to ask, if you have a particular thing that you want researched before the next meeting and can get somebody to do it, like checking the impacts of these in other villages, and that's what you want to wait for to make your decision, let's do that. But I don't see
I could
why-
find out what rec fees are in other towns too. Neighboring towns, I've never looked at that.
I can tell you, I think I did, because I looked at every fucking thing.
He did.
Really, I can't believe it. As hard as it is.
Bad language.
Yeah, I'd like another month, and I'd like to spend a couple hours looking at this. Okay. And I may end up right there with you,
Good.
Rob, but
Okay.
I just
Fair.
don't know enough.
That's fair.
You may want his data.
That's fair.
And he probably would share with me.
Where do the rec fees go anyway? Do they actually go into?
It goes into the rec fund, like Gould Park, we use that money to do the Gould Park, the pool, and now
Oh,
the
wow.
steps project.
Oh, wow,
It
yeah,
contributes to it, it don't pay for it,
Right,
but
ticket, right?
No, those pools cost $3.5 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I
The-
call them
the-
gold-plated pools.
the rec fees aren't covering it, but
Wow.
it did a,
But like these multifamilies
They're
that,
Yeah.
on Palisade,
Yeah.
they paid 40,000 in rec fees. That's a sizable amount of money. So it does help to do capital.
41 seater paid what, 140,000 in rec fees
Right.
or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it helps.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
definitely. It's not a insignificant amount.
Right. That was 41-seater doing.
We're having a pre-construction meeting next week, and they're gonna start.
Right now, it's Lake Cedar.
Yeah. We're threatening to pull their permit and their approvals, and now they're getting started. It's been tough.
All right, anything else?
What's happening at 19 Livingston?
We have a meeting next week with the developer and Dan and a couple people they want to show us some stuff. I don't think it complies again, but I don't
For
know.
which project?
19 Livingston.
Rudy's.
We got to get something built there.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Wow.
I think it'll benefit the
Somebody's
village.
actually-
Have
Yeah, it will.
Very
It's an
high,
eyesore now.
Yeah.
One. And number two, it's going to be taxed well.
probably the highest tax with the views there and everything.
Yeah, we want that view. We want a public view.
Did they restabilize those walls, or
The what?
the cliff, didn't they restabilize, they had to restabilize that or something?
No, that was
I don't
a
know.
different project.
That was a
right?
different one?
Yeah. Yeah, but I do think that, when Rudy's was there, you turned into the village, right at that
Oh,
corner,
yeah.
and you had a beautiful view of the river.
Yeah, it is.
It was,
And that project just was gonna wall it off.
It's
And
the
I,
gate-
I
it's
have
the gateway
no
view
problem with
there.
that.
I liked, I
I'm
wish
really,
Rudy's was there, it was beautiful. Nice
Yeah, I
little
mean, that's-
building.
Rudy's not so much, but the.
Yeah.
No, but the building
venue.
itself
yeah,
though.
yeah, it was a, 19th century building or something like.
Yeah,
And it's the gateway view to Dobbs Ferry coming from the south on Broadway. You gotta protect that. It's like it's on the viewing platform as a gateway view. You guys are nodding like.
Not gonna be a view like when Rudy's was there.
No.
Yeah,
I think
Because it
there's
wouldn't pay,
compromise.
it wouldn't
but-
pay for them to develop it that way.
but they gotta just do it down the hill a little bit so you can look over it.
That's the thing, that like, you're saying, the back of that property drops off.
I know,
Pretty-
it's,
Pretty,
No data.
and that's all gravel over.
He's ready to
on that
go.
side of this, right?
He's out of here.
All right, I've got an early start.
Thank you, everyone.
Wait, we have to close
We
the
have to
meeting.
close, we have to close the meeting.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did.
Did we?
No, we didn't.
no.
No?
No.
I move that we close the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay.